Breath of the Wild is a game that gives you a million things to fall in love with. I don't think there's ever been a game that felt so complicated and effortlessly simple at the same time. It's common sense fantasy. You have an idea, try it out and it works. You don't have to adapt to the game's logic. Increasingly when a game is really special, it's not for the big things. The art of overwhelming set pieces was perfected in Resident Evil 4 and worn out by the AAA industry in the following decade. What's exciting now is a game that you can feel at peace in. A game where you want to get the most out of its cooking, levelling and trading systems. Not in search of some arbitrary 100% completion accreditation, but because you enjoy what they add to the experience. A game where you feel pleased to sit in one spot meditating under its dark glowing sunsets. Breath of the Wild is a game unlike any other. We've had huge complicated games before and games that you can approach however you like, but they've never felt so elegant, mystical and full of character. You're given this huge, expansive, wonderful, incredibly varied land to wander through. You're drawn to the obvious stuff, the tallest mountains, the biggest weapons and the mysterious caves, but the game has ways of deterring you and encouraging you to find more creative ways to play. The fact that it always leads to something exciting, beautiful and memorable is really what makes this game something special. There's little that can compare to how much comfort and excitement I find in Breath of the Wild. Nintendo are fucking brilliant, right? They know games design like nobody else does. Roguelikes and procedural generation are really depressing concepts for guys like me. The idea that randomly generated elements are every bit as interesting as painstakingly crafted games design. What Breath of the Wild does is beautifully limit and define its random elements. Certain kinds of events can happen at certain kinds of locations at certain times with certain conditions. These events aren't so random to feel meaningless or accidental, but they're not so definite to feel like part of the script. NPCs are animated so dynamically and given such an interesting, creative sense of intelligence that the world genuinely feels alive, and fights create unique little stories within themselves. Playing Breath of the Wild, you'll have experiences that are totally unique to you, and that makes the big stuff, the big spiritual Legend of Zelda stuff, feel more magical and intimate when you encounter it. It's easy to take a lot of Breath of the Wild's brilliance for granted because it all feels so natural. This is a huge, complicated game with a million things going on at any one time, but it's not a game of watching statistics and learning how to best customise your equipment. It's much more real than that. Need a better sword, find a baddie who has one and beat him up. Need to cross a chasm, cut down a tree and use it as a bridge. Hungry? Jump out of a branch of a tree and pick up some apples. It works so well because it learns so much from Nintendo's decades of cartoony, impactful design. Entirely disparate elements of the game can randomly fall together and interact in clever, memorable and funny ways that feel every bit as deliberate and painstakingly designed as the boss encounters. You can't say that about any other open world game. The designers have placed a foundation here that's stronger than just about anything else. Everything you do in the game makes sense and the game is prepared to go along with it in surprising and clever ways. It's that thing again. The thing I love most in games and strongly believe is the core of great games design. Strong, relatable mechanics that the player is excited to experiment with and lead to satisfying results. It's explored so richly in Breath of the Wild. It's a huge, varied playground full of dynamic, reactive elements. You feel like you're given the opportunity to create your own solutions to your problems, and anything you can cobble together that results in a positive outcome is an entirely valid idea. It pushes you to find creative solutions and rewards your ingenuity.
And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if just for one moment everything was all right? If for just one moment in time where everything was all right.
I'm a little torn about Breath of the Wild being on the Switch. On one hand, I dearly loved the Wii U, and the existence of this one game really turned Nintendo's fortunes around. Of course, the excitement for a new system definitely played into its commercial success, and I really respect the fact that Nintendo still released a Wii U version, but it feels like they could have saved the format had it come out a little earlier and remain an exclusive. On the other hand, there was little that could have made the Switch seem so ideal and incredible as coming out of the gate with this game. I often have to travel for hours, and I stopped seeing that as a problem from the first second I played this game. It can draw me in like little else. The game's also full of optional repetitive tasks. things I wouldn't bother with if I had to sit down in front of my TV and consider my limited time with a game. It's a game that can feel at times very small and intimate, and at others massive and glorious. The ability to tailor my experience for what I felt like exploring really made the game shine. I doubt I would have felt compelled to play it for half as long in any other format. Despite all this, Breath of the Wild isn't my favourite Zelda game. Leaning so hard into free-form structure robs it of a lot of the weight and impact that the series has played with so beautifully in the past, and I'd struggle to remember anything that felt as significant or touching as the parts of Ocarina of Time I've reflected on for years. That makes me optimistic though. Breath of the Wild was a big, bold swing at a completely different kind of Zelda game, and I admire how doggedly they followed that vision. It's a game where there's no right or wrong ways to progress, only successful and unsuccessful. It doesn't matter if you've vanquished the eternal demon Calamity Ganon by tying balloons to a raft and chucking bombs at him from above. If you made it work, the game's happy to congratulate you for it. Now they can look at what worked so well in Breath of the Wild, consider what they missed from the old Zelda, and find a balance. It might be tough to get it right, but if I trust any games designers, it's the ones who worked in influential positions on the Zelda games. The thing that really solidifies Breath of the Wild as an all-time great is that first playthrough. Completing the Great Plateau and landing in the open fields of Hyrule. Feeling that overwhelming freedom, but also the weight of a million subtle, effortless subsystems all working together to make it feel as exciting and potent as it does. Discovering towns and forests and giant monsters and judging whether or not you want to engage with them at that point based on your strength, items and intentions. Breath of the Wild gives you so much to get excited about, and so many different ways to play the game, it's almost certain that your adventure will be completely unique. That's something special. I never want to forget how much I loved that. Some of the stuff that makes Breath of the Wild such an amazing game is quite hard to communicate. When you interact with the treasure chest from behind, Link kicks it open. Miyamoto gave the suggestion that if you're not wearing shoes, Link should grab his foot in pain. It's a cute little touch and one that most players are unlikely to encounter, but not only does it make the game more charming, it further sells the illusion of reality within the game and the importance of your decisions within it. That's just a wee bit of trivia I'd heard and was easy to point out, but that kind of design is all over Breath of the Wild. Its elements all working together to create surprising, funny and deeply satisfying anecdotes every time you step out into the unknown. It changes open world game design from being a big relaxing thing to wander around with some video game bits in some sections to a real tangible adventure. That's what's exciting. That's what I love. That's why Nintendo have earned every bit of success and every award they've gained following Breath of the Wild's release. And here's another one. It's my game of the year. My game of the decade. One of the best games I've ever played.